Welcome to Lesson 8 of our Distance Learning series. So let's get ready to think about that hairless mouse. Today you're going to need a pencil and a copy of the journal slip, Mutations and Their Effects. Yesterday we saw just how important the environment is when determining whether an organism is adapted. And there were lots of great comments on the discussion board with all kinds of reasonable responses for what kind of environment might favor a hairless mouse. I was actually thinking that hairless mice that live in cold climates may not be able to keep as warm when compared to the normal furry mice. And so, welcome to Lesson 8 of our Distance Learning series. Let's get ready to think about that hairless mouse. Today, you're going to need a pencil and a copy of the journal slip, Mutations and Their Effects. Now, we saw yesterday just how important the environment is when determining whether an organism is adapted. And there were lots of great comments on the discussion board with all kinds of reasonable responses for what kind of environment might actually select against a hairless mouse. I was thinking that hairless mice that live in cold climates might not be able to keep as warm when compared to the normal furry mice. And so these hairless mice die more frequently before reproducing. Thus, in geographic areas where the overall climate is cooler, like farther north of the equator, the hairless trait would be considered a harmful mutation. Compare your response to mine. Put down a finalized response on your journal slip. You can pause the screencast now to do so. Now, the environment can also favor certain genetic traits. I was thinking that hairless mice that live in warm climates would be able to stay cooler when compared to their normal furry counterparts. Thus, in geographic areas where the overall climate is hot, like really close to the equator, the hairless trait would actually be considered a helpful mutation. Again, compare your response to mine and put down a finalized one on your journal slip. Now, here was question 3. According to the article, neutral mutations happen. If they do happen in a coding region, they can be quickly repaired or fixed as if they never happened. Or if they happen in a part of the DNA that's considered junk DNA, really doesn't matter because that part of the DNA is never read anyway. So in either case, it doesn't seem like there would be any change to the organism. So the mouse actually wouldn't look like what you see on the screen. The mouse would have hair, and that neutral mutation wouldn't have any change to the organism. Take a moment to put down your finalized response on your journal slip. Now let's connect what we're learning to current events. Yesterday, the article talked about viruses, right here, and how genetic material can mutate to help the virus spread and infect people. So, could the coronavirus have been a result of natural selection? Watch this clip and you be the judge. Pay attention to how the narrator talks about mutations and how they're responsible for the evolution of this virus. I'm going to click out here to go to the video. I'm just going to pause it for a minute.
Types of molecules on the
bring
outsides
it
of their
back
cells.
to 3 minutes. Let's watch from here.
Corona means crown and refers to the unusually large crown-like spikes sticking out of their membranes. These protein spikes are selectively sticky, sort of like Velcro. They don't attach to most objects but are extremely sticky when they bump into specific molecules found on the outsides of animal
There you go,
cells.
you see it sticking right
Once
there.
held firmly in place, the coronavirus waits until swallowed by the cell. It then begins to reproduce at the cell's expense. Different animal species have different types of molecules on the outsides of their cells. Because of this, bird-infecting coronaviruses usually can't infect humans. Their Velcro doesn't hold strong enough to our cells. Unfortunately, the natural process of evolution can sometimes help a virus overcome this problem.
So natural selection
When virus
is at
genes are
play.
being copied during reproduction, mutations can occur. These are either due to simple copying errors or processes called reassortment and recombination. These happen when two or more viruses infect a single cell. In most cases, mutations that change the shape of viral spikes render the virus useless. Their Velcro no longer sticks to any host cells. On rare occasions, however, a chance mutation will just happen to allow a virus to attach to a new host species.
A helpful mutation.
If the modified virus is then lucky enough to encounter that new host species, infection can occur. We call this a spillover infection. The virus has spilled over into a new type of host. Early on, during a spillover event, the virus usually isn't very good at infecting its new host. Its Velcro is not a perfect match, and many other challenges might slow the virus down. Oftentimes, the mutations that let it infect the new host also make it worse at infecting its original host. Because of this, many spillover viruses go extinct after infecting just one or two people. They're usually dead ends. That said, if the virus can survive and reproduce just long enough, natural selection will promote any new mutations that help it better spread and reproduce in the new host population. Positive mutations accumulate over multiple generations. Negative mutations are discarded until, bam! A new epidemic is being screamed about on the news.
Okay. We come back. So what did we figure out? How are mutations responsible for that new variety of coronavirus? Well, the narrator talked about that the genetic material of the virus has to mutate, and that mutation could sometimes lead to a new variety of virus with different shaped proteins, that Velcro that they were talking about, that could stick to the host. Those new proteins make the virus better adapted to enter new hosts, and as the virus reproduces itself, it actually passes on that helpful mutation to the next generation. Over multiple rounds of viral reproduction, positive mutations can accumulate and the virus becomes better adapted over time. And that's what we're seeing play out right now. So natural selection is actually, you can see that example in this phenomenon that's happening right now. Take a moment to put this down on your journal slip. Try to put it in your own words and make sense of it in your own way. For today, I need you to submit a copy of your completed journal slip, either a photo of your written responses or the digital version. And until tomorrow, keep thinking and keep learning.